Hey, what's up, Internet? I'm the Zim. This is the Zim video. Thanks a lot for joining. Today is going to be hopefully a quick video about 3 problems with the Cricut Maker. At least that's what I titled it. Maybe that's a little clickbaity. But anyways, I have a Cricut Maker I bought a couple months ago. I'll put the unboxing video up on top. And I've used it a few times since, mainly to make vinyl, iron-on vinyl for just projects, just different things. So the 3 main things I'll talk about them. The first one problem is, something that you can't do anything about. Another problem is potential software updates could help, and the third problem is just knowledge of you to make a difference of, and knowing what to happen. So the first one, nothing we can do about it because it's required. It's kind of built into the machine and the kind of physical part of it. The thing is, they made the cutting mat and the cutting dimensions, this 12 by 12 area, when that's not actually accurate. You don't actually get a 12 by 12 area. You get just shy of it, 11 and a half by, you can go longer in the other direction because they make a longer mat as well. But it's that width direction that it makes zero sense why Cricut has this kind of idea of a 12 by 12 mat, 12 by 12 cutting area, when you can't actually use the entire surface of the cutting area. Why Cricut didn't just widen the tool just a little bit more to make the 12 by 12 area make sense? Because it limits, it takes away a little bit of the, options on how big of a thing that you can cut. You actually don't get 12 inches of cutting space, which is super annoying. I'd rather it just be very transparent. This is the actual amount of cutting space, and it's marked clearly on the cutting mat. You didn't need the cutting mat to be 12 by 12. You could have the cutting mat be 11 and a half by and be positioned that way. So when you're putting something on the cutting mat, that's exactly where it needs to be. Maybe the philosophy around it is that bleed idea, but a lot of people that are designers and people that know what they're doing accommodate for that bleed on their own. They don't need to be forced into accommodating for the bleed because of false kind of representation of how the cutting mat is and how the machine works. So that's a super annoying kind of thing. There's not really anything to be done about actually making a 12 by 12 cutting surface. The only thing that can be done is maybe making these mats be 11 and a half grid rather than a 12 by 12 grid or something, but then it would affect the software, which brings me to my next point, which is something that can be fixed, but this is I found this super annoying to me, is the software, Cricut Maker software that you download and you have on your computer. The maker space within the software is really high res, really easy to see. You can move your stuff around on it, and you can get ready to cut your thing. But then once you decide to cut it and you press cut, it sends it to a second page that is the actual size of the cutting area there's a little red line, and it shoves everything that you plotted out into the corner. I would have much rather have that step be skipped entirely. Make the first Cricut Maker step where you're planning out your design be the actual export area as well. So where you place it on the grid is exactly where it will export as well, because once it moves it over to the other screen, it shoves everything to the corner. But then also, if you want to adjust it because you want to adjust where you put the material you're cutting on your cutting surface, and you want accuracy in that, it's harder to do that because it's not as clear of a grid. It's a much smaller grid. You're not exactly sure how far you're moving certain things. And the other thing is you're forcing everything to always be cut in this upper corner, so that this part of the mat will get worn out much faster, and the stickiness and all the different things. Like somebody like me that's aware of this kind of thing, let me adjust where I'm cutting and where I'm doing things on a regular basis so that my mat doesn't wear out as fast. Something that I'm aware of, something that I would like to have control over, which you can't when you're using the Cricut Maker. The last thing is something for you as a consumer just to be aware of. Like I said, most of what I do is using heat transfer vinyl at this point. And I bought a couple of the everyday vinyl off of the Cricut website. And it turns out that vinyl, it works fine, but it's not as good as something you can find on Amazon. I bought this vinyl on Amazon. I don't know how to pronounce it. This EYGO PVC heat transfer vinyl. It's like the difference between the two vinyl is pretty much like not comparable, because the vinyl I got on Amazon, it was way easier to use and weed. This vinyl that I got off of the Cricut website is really difficult to weed. It's like frustratingly annoying to weed, especially if you have like small little cuts and little details that you want to get out. It's really hard. The amount of, tack that's on this vinyl is really hard. I cannot report on the quality of after you wash. I have only washed this vinyl, the vinyl I got from Cricut, like twice, and it's held up fine. I have not washed the vinyl I've gotten off of Amazon, so I don't know that result of it, but in terms of actually using it, crafting with it, making things with it, way easier to use this vinyl I got off of Amazon, this Ego vinyl or whatever you call it. I'm not sure. But anyways, so just be aware of that. I don't recommend buying the everyday vinyl from the Cricut website itself. I recommend going to Amazon. I think this is way cheaper too. I'm pretty sure I get like 75 feet for about the same amount I got for like 3 feet. So yeah, I think that's probably those things that you learn as you go anyway. So I'm learning as I go. But those are my three problems with the Cricut Maker. Hopefully it helps you make an informed decision if you're thinking about a Cricut Maker of your own. All right, till next time, subscribe to the channel. I'll check you later. All right, be loving, kind, and patient. Peace.